What is going on, guys? It's Kitten of Doom, and in today's video I wanted to go over how to build mages in Season 4, and this is specifically going to be for Conquest. And as always, these builds will work in any other game mode as well. But I wanted to make this video because I know mage builds can be a lot more complicated than, let's say, hunters, because hunters basically have only a couple items they build every time. Almost, and mages have a lot more options they can build into. So I'm really hoping that this video can help you guys out, and I'm going to be going pretty in depth and explaining why each item would be better and what kind of items are better on different kind of gods. So I really hope you guys enjoy, and we'll get right into it. Now, first off, we're starting with starter items, and the only starter items I would recommend building as a mage in Conquest is, of course, Soulstone, Sands of Time, Vampiric Shroud, and Boomba's Mask. Soulstone is great for mages who don't have very good clear early game. So what Soulstone does is every basic attack you hit, you gain a stack, and once you gain 5 stacks, the next damage ability that you hit on minion waves or gods, you gain 40 mana back, and any abilities used in the next 3 seconds will deal bonus damage equal to having 40 magical power. So it definitely helps clear minions a lot easier. I do like building it on certain mages that do have a hard time clearing lane. I really like building Soulstone on like Kronos and Soul, and Scylla can even make some really good use out of it, and just any other mages that have a hard time clearing. These are some mages that can benefit from Soulstone since their level 1 clear isn't that great. Alpwash, Freya, Hel, Nox, Nuwa, Poseidon, Raijin, Morrigan, Thoth, and Vulcan. Poseidon does have probably better clear than some of the others, but I think it still would work well. Technically, Soulstone would work well on mages that even do clear pretty well, so it's just all up to personal preference if you'd want to build it. Next up is one of my personal favorites, and it's Sands of Time, and the passive on this is that it grants 2 MP5 per 10% of your missing mana, and it also gives you 20 magical power and 5 MP5 as well as 10% cooldown reduction. So I love this so much because right off the bat, start of the game, you can get 10% cooldown reduction, which is amazing. Cooldown's always great on mages to just spam abilities as much as you can to get all of your damage off, so I definitely love building that, and I definitely like building it on mages that can clear relatively well so that you already pretty much have that built down cooldown. Next is Vampiric Shroud, and this actually got a change in the mid-season patch, so it actually is a lot better in my opinion. The passive is damaging any enemies with an ability, gives you 6 health and 3 mana, and you can only trigger this once per ability, but it also gives you 10 physical protection, 100 health, and 20 magical power. So this is great if you just want to be more tanky and survive a lot better in mid lane, especially against the enemy jungler, and you're going to be sustaining really well off of those Vampiric Shroud procs. So it's definitely a good option, especially if they already kind of have healing in their kit. They're just going to be sustaining a lot more. Last but not least, I do like Boomba's Mask in the mid lane just because you can go help clear camps a lot faster with your jungler if you're invading, or if your jungler is somewhere else on the map, you can actually take like mid and back harpies by yourself without, dying to the jungle buffs, and you gain health back from it. So I definitely do like building Boomba's Mask, and when I do build Boomba's, I do a starter item and Boomba's Mask since you have enough gold for both, and then like 2 health pots and mana pots. But if you didn't know, the passive on Boomba's is your basic attacks deal 15 true damage, and your abilities do 15% true damage to the jungle camps, and when the jungle camp monsters are killed, the closest ally god in the range will get healed for 10% of the monster's health and restore 25 mana and give additional 4 gold. And then passive stats on it are 50 health and 50 mana. So I definitely think it is a good option for mid laners, just to help sustain them and lane longer, clear camps better, and I definitely think it's a viable option right now. So the next important thing we need to talk about is relics, and pretty much as a mid laner you are always wanting to go either Aegis, Beads, or Bracer, and I'd say even Bracer's kind of iffy, but pretty much definitely just Aegis and Beads, and never ever get meditation on a mid laner. It's just bad. Like, meditation right now is just not the greatest after they nerfed it, and mid laners aren't really supposed to be picking that up anyway. What Aegis does is using the item makes you invulnerable to damage and healing for 2 seconds, preventing you from taking actions, and you may still move. So it's important to know that you can't cast any abilities while Aegis is active, or you can't get healed or meted by your allies either. So if they're trying to heal you and you have this active, it won't do anything. Cooldown is 160 seconds, and a new thing in Season 4 is that you can upgrade relics. And to upgrade a relic, it costs 500 gold. So the Aegis Amulet upgrade is basically the same thing as the other Aegis, but the cooldown is reduced to 130 seconds. Next, we're going over Purification Beads, and using this relic removes crowd control effects and makes you immune to new ones for 2 seconds, and cooldown is 160 seconds. This has an upgrade as well for 500 gold, and same thing, and cooldown gets reduced to 130 seconds. So Purification Beads is definitely a must-have on mages, just because if you're ever getting locked down, or like they have a hard CC team, like Fenrir, Ares, like any other kind of ults that you can get out of with beads, you definitely want to pick that up, and it just helps you survive longer, so it's definitely a good pickup to have. Lastly, we're going to be going over for relics is Bracer of Undoing, and using this restores 40% health and mana loss within the last 5 seconds. So you can think of it as like a mini Chronos ult. If you get bursted like a bunch by the enemy team, just pop this and you gain your health and mana back from the last 5 seconds. And upgrading this will subtract 3 seconds from all abilities currently on cooldown as well. So they did nerf Bracer quite a bit, so it might not be that great of a pickup anymore for mid laners, but it's always a viable option, if they have a high burst team comp. So that's another option you can do. So it's always important to remember, as a mid laner, you're basically wanting your relics to keep you alive, and that's basically the number one reason why you're wanting to get Aegis and Beads, because you staying alive is definitely critical for, your team fight success and everything else. Next thing we are going to be talking about is shoes, and mages have options to build 4 different kinds of shoes, and they are Shoes of the Magi, Shoes of Focus, Reinforced Shoes, and Traveler Shoes. I'm going to be going over these shoes and the different type of situations and gods that would be better for these kinds of shoes. So first off, Shoes of the Magi, it gives you 45 magical power, 10 magical penetration, and 18% movement speed. Now, I do love building Shoes of the Magi on the majority of my mages, just for the extra, penetration that it gives. I do like that part of it. And if your god doesn't have extremely high cooldowns and is okay with mana, then I would suggest building power shoes. Now, Shoes of Focus is a little bit different, so it gives 40 magical power, 250 mana, 10% cooldown reduction, and 18% movement speed. So it does give you more stats in the end, but you are missing out on the penetration. So I do like the fact that it does give you 10% cooldown reduction and mana. So if you get like Sands of Time and this, you're already at 20% cooldown reduction, and I think Shoes of Focus work great on mages that do have high cooldowns, and don't really manage their mana very well, like they're very mana hungry. And you know, cooldown never really hurts to have either. But on the other side, I do actually like building cooldown boots on mages that already have kind of low cooldowns, kind of like Hebo and Changa. They can benefit pretty well from Shoes of Focus, and like Hell would be another good one for Shoes of Focus, and like Afro. So pretty much any mages that you just want to keep spamming abilities, Shoes of Focus will work really well for you. And late game, I do recommend selling your pen boots for Shoes of Focus just to get, you know, that extra cooldown so you can keep spamming in late game team fights. And plus you'll, you know, still have the same movement speed, a little less power, and just more mana, so I just think it's worth it to sell late game. Now, reinforced shoes. You are never really going to build this on any mages. You know, these are for guardians, most likely, so pretty much never pick this up unless you're trying to go support mage, kind of like Aphrodite or Changa, Hell, something like that. But even I would still suggest other shoes instead of these for mage supports. It does give some good stats, you know, like 20 magic power, 75 health, 20% crowd control reduction, and movement speed. So, you know, it's an option that's there, but it's never really picked up on mages. Just kind of wanted to go over it for those reasons. Next up, we have Traveler's Shoes. And these shoes are pretty interesting. So it gives 20 magical power, 18 movement speed, and the passive on these is you gain 14% additional movement speed and 25 HP 5 while out of combat. Each time you damage an enemy god, you earn 30 gold, and this cannot occur more than once every 90 seconds. So Travelers is definitely an unpopular pick for mid mages. Traveler's Shoes is definitely good for like support mages, like I said before, like Afro, Changa, Hell, you know, gives them that extra movement speed out of combat and gives them, you know, more gold for just poking out the enemy team. And I've even seen in the SPL some mid laners, kind of like Morrigan, picking up Traveler's Shoes because she can poke pretty easily with her too. And, you know, just makes her pretty fast. So it's definitely kind of out of meta pick, but it can definitely work out if you're trying to just get extra gold and you get that extra movement speed. So mostly for mid mages, I would recommend Shoes of Magi or Shoes of Focus. So I'm actually going to split this video into separate videos just to make it not extremely long, because I am wanting to go over pretty much almost every single item and when and how you should build it and how good it works for these certain gods. So I think it's better to just split them up. So I'm gonna cut it off on the shoes part, and then next video I'm going to be talking about penetration, like luxury items, utility items, and stuff like that. So I really hope this video and I hope it helped explain some of these items better for you. And don't forget to enter in my giveaway. We are so close to 400 subs, and the giveaway is for a $25 Xbox, Visa, or Amazon gift card. So you can enter into that, and that is going to wrap up this video. Make sure to look out for the second video after this, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye!